Thanks. It's the tie. Thank you, Diana, and thank you, Hourglass, for having this forum. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and I'm excited to tell you the story, in part about Southern Market, before Jessie comes and tells you her journey as a culinary entrepreneur. So with that, Southern Market is the city's grandest building, both because of its architecture and in its size. That's how the local Lancaster paper described it when Southern Market opened its doors in 1888. Designed by C. Emblin Urban, it was built for use as a farmer's market and nearly operated that way for about 100 years. By the mid-'80s, operations had dwindled, and the city decided to transition it into office space when the Chamber of Commerce came in, assets came in, and it also hosted city council. By the 2010s, both Southern Market as a building and the intersection between South Queen and South Vine Street were identified as underutilized by the Lancaster City Alliance. So looking to sell the building, the city decided to put out a series of RFPs, requests for proposals, to see what somebody would do with the building. And at that time, Lancaster Equity had presented an idea that included a food hall incubation model that is in operation today. And that's what had them actually win the bid from the city of Lancaster. Meanwhile, Willow Valley Communities was looking to expand its operations for a 55-plus active adult apartment building. And it settled its sights on the L&P building, which it acquired, which is right across the street from Southern Market. So upon hearing about the revitalization project happening in Southern Market, Willow Valley Communities felt that it was a great opportunity to join as a collaborative partner and to invest further in the city beyond its own project. So 134 years after Southern Market opened its doors, it comes full circle. It's been revitalized where food is once again the driving force and the community connector. Okay, so with that, Southern Market's legacy comes full circle, returning to its original purpose, although its what and its how looks different. So in 1888, the result was the community came together, it sold and it bought fresh fruits, produce, and other goods. Today, it's a first-class food hall with flavors from around the world. So food combined with an entrepreneurial platform that is Southern Market allows our ambitious neighbors and friends to pour their passions into developing their own small businesses. Also, this transformed landmark offers a new and wonderful gathering place for the community to come together. Earlier, I mentioned the collaborative partnership between Willow Valley Communities and Lancaster Equity. Assets is the third partner. So given their service to small business startups, it was important that they return to Southern Market to have a relationship with the vendors, especially since a significant number of assets clients actually have food-related businesses. So assets expertise will help to give guidance to the food hall vendors as they're growing their businesses within Southern Market, implementing business strategies, training, and helping them to develop their specific plans. So with the modernization of Southern Market completed, this is what it looks like today. If you haven't been inside, shame on you, because you should be. So the second floor is private office spaces, and the first floor is home to the 10 vendor stands, which surround Bar 1888, which is named for the year that the building was constructed. So comfortably seating 250 people, the food hall houses 10 vendor stands, as I mentioned, Bar 1888, but also inside what you'll find is Butter and Bean Coffee Shop, located right inside the Queen Street entrance, and a pizzeria that's currently under development and should be open, I think, mid-May. And that's one of the front retail spaces. So the resources provided to these vendors present a feasible pathway to achieving their dreams. From the location proximity that's close to Penn Square, which is 1 block down, to outfitting each stand, also the commissary kitchen, which has commercial appliances where they all do a shared space. Each one has their own space to prepare, present, and then offer their cuisines, all the way down to the glasses, the silverware, the plates, and even the support staff. All of that is a significant amount of overhead costs and concerns, overwhelming minutia of daily operations that have been removed from their purview so that they can just focus on perfecting their craft and then growing their businesses. So it's important that Southern Market Food Hall is representative of the rich and diverse culture of the city of Lancaster, and it does. As these culinary entrepreneurs build their businesses with the incubation and support mechanisms in place, we anticipate that they will outgrow the resources at Southern Market. Individually, when the timing is best, they'll transition their operations to their own brick and mortar locations or whatever their ultimate vision of their business is. This successful progression will further diversify Lancaster's restaurant scene and contribute to the creation of more jobs and opportunities within the city. Then the Southern Market team will go to the wait list and embrace and welcome the next potential vendors ready to incubate their businesses. So if you've not yet been to Southern Market and you're wondering what you're missing, let me whet your appetite. These are just some of the meals that you can get at Southern Market. Everything from the chicken tangine to maple brisket ribs that 4E's Latin cuisine does, all the way to cupcakes in a jar, gluten-free cakes, wonderful pastries, scones, and breakfast items from Butter and Bean. So if you haven't been there, it's literally 100 South Queen Street, a block and so over. And let me assure you, it's all delicious. So with that, today Southern Market offers a pathway for culinary entrepreneurs to realize their dreams. This revitalized landmark is a draw to locals and visitors alike in a grand attempt to truly support these budding businesses and culinary entrepreneurs. So, to tell her story as a culinary entrepreneur in the city and as a Southern Market operator, please welcome Jessie Tuno.
Thank you. A little bit about me. My name is Jessie Tuno. We've lived here in Lancaster County about 24 years. I started in the restaurant industry about 20 years ago. Started out more of convenience than anything else, not really a desire to work in the restaurant industry. We had 2 small kids at the time, and daycare is extremely expensive for 2 babies. So I took a job working at a local pastry shop, just opening up the bakery in the morning. I met a retired chef there who just spoke so eloquently about food, and it really just opened up my eyes to the entire industry of the culinary industry. Several years later, I decided that I was really enjoying this and I needed more education. So I went to culinary school. I ended up being one of the oldest students in my class, which it was good, but of course you're always the one that everyone comes to then when their grades are not so good. So after graduating, I actually graduated at the top of my class, held a 4.0. Thank you. Worked around in several fine dining restaurants here in Lancaster County, and really just developed my own passion for this industry. I've really had great experience in all the different restaurants, but it's always been being the female and being a minority in the kitchen. I remember specifically when I was finishing up with my internship, or I was finishing up with my schooling and I was getting ready to go out on my internship, the gentleman that I worked for at the restaurant, I wanted to work in the kitchen, and he looked straight in my eye and said, "I don't believe in having women in the kitchen. And besides, you're too pretty. I want to have you out front." So I said, well, okay, then I'm going to have to find somewhere that will allow me to be in the kitchen. So It's always challenging being in a role that's non-traditional in a female role. It is becoming more and more a tradition that you do see more females in a leadership position in the restaurants. But I still, even to this day at Southern Market, will have someone who comes up to my husband and say, "Oh, is this your stand?" And my husband is always so gracious and says, "Nope, this is actually my wife's business." So it's always challenging to face this. As an entrepreneur, your mind goes to all of these really cool things that you can do. I can do whatever I want. I can work the hours that I want. I can set my own rules. I can cook whatever I want. But when the reality comes in and you're there from 3 a.m. till 10 p.m., that reality sets in really quickly. And then you get to tax time. And tax time, you decide, you know what, I don't know if this is for me. I just want to go back to being an employee. But especially as an entrepreneur and a chef in this industry, you have such a unique experience, a passion in the final product when you go to a fine dining restaurant and you see that beautiful symphony of an exquisitely plated dish, perfectly seared scallops, a beautiful mid-rare filet, beautifully cooked vegetables that still have that beautiful color to them and just the right amount of softness. But as a chef, we also see that passion from a raw product. You see that beautiful produce as it comes from the ground, the animal that's given its life for you to be able to consume, and we want to respect that product. One of the other jobs that I've had previous to owning my business, I was a culinary instructor. We teach our culinary students from day one to respect the product, respect every aspect of that product. Tip to tail, we want to make sure that every product, everything that we can get out of that item is used and utilized, and that nothing goes to waste. Especially when you're a business owner, and now we're looking at it from that food cost point of view. Now we see it in a different light. Now we think, and we teach this to our students, how much is that half an onion costing you every time we throw that away? Not just in the waste, but also in that waste of the product itself. So you see, culinary industry is full of creative ADHD brains. We are the types that we just need to go, we need to touch, we need to feel, we need to be doing and moving. And so all of this, it's so overwhelming when you become that entrepreneur. It's one of those that we really have to rein things in and settle our brains a little bit to really focus in on what it is that we want to present, how we present it, and teach others that presentation. As an entrepreneur, we can't sit still. We have to sit down and to do the numbers and the paperwork and all the mundane day-to-day stuff is very challenging. We'd rather work a 16-hour shift, sleep 4 hours, and then go back in and do it again than to sit down and do the paperwork. But here I am, and yes, I do coffee. Not necessarily the food side of things as what I had been once, but coffee is my life, and I'm still a chef at heart. This is my starting point. This is my toe in the water of entrepreneurship. I've taught other people and my students over the last 4 years about running businesses, running food costs, people management, but it's so different when you're in it. It's so different when it's yours. The numbers are important when it's yours. Those numbers are even more real when you have product and you're working so hard for such little margins. So the next time when you go into an independently owned restaurant and you see $50 for a steak and potatoes and a vegetable, think about how that product has come to you. Think about the work from the farmers to the chefs that have put that together, who have taken that time to put the care and their passions into that for you. We put our passion on our plate for the world to judge day after day, and we come back to it day after day. We do it because we love it. So butter and bean is my passion, and I want to thank Chris and thank Hourglass for having us here today. We are, as Chris said, we're down on 100 South Queen Street, just a couple of blocks from here. We'd love to have you in, and we'll see you then. Thank you.